When most people think of the drug world, names like El Chapo, Pablo Escobar, or Joaquin Guzman come up almost immediately. But let me tell you, some of the most dangerous figures in the game weren't men at all. There were women who didn't just play a role, they ran the show. But as flashy as that lifestyle might seem, luxury cars, designer clothes, millions in dirty cash, there's always a price to pay. And for these women, it came in the form of betrayal, revenge, and violent endings. So here's a list of female drug lords who were brutally taken out by their rivals. Born in 2001, Landy Paraga was a stunning Ecuadorian beauty who started her public life in the spotlight as a model. In 2022, she competed in Miss Ecuador, representing her province with elegance and charm, quickly becoming a fan favorite. Her social media blew up. She posted glamorous pics with designer bags, private jets, luxury vacations, and everything else that screams influencer lifestyle. But behind the filters and fancy clothes, there was something darker going on. Turns out Landy wasn't just funding her lifestyle through brand deals. She was being sponsored by Leandro Norero, one of Ecuador's top drug lords, and also her secret lover. And it didn't stop there. She later got involved in running a part of the operation, becoming a full-on business partner in the cartel. In 2022, Leandro was murdered inside prison. And in 2024, Landy's story took a deadly turn too. She was shot dead in broad daylight while dining at a restaurant. Word on the street is that Leandro was married the whole time, and the hit on Landy may have been revenge ordered by his wife. Her fatal mistake? She tagged her location on Instagram just moments before being killed. That was all it took. According to police, a message found on Leandro's phone said it all. "If my wife finds out about her, I'm screwed." Looks like he was right. In October 2020, Kailane Cavalcante vanished without a trace in the city of Marituba, near Belém, Brazil. A few days later, her body was found dumped in the woods, lifeless, brutalized, and left for dead. Not long after, a video started making rounds online, showing Kailane being interrogated and judged by a group of gang members in what's known on the streets as a crime court.
Confesso sim que a Juliana jogava costela.
In the footage, she was accused of snitching, passing intel to the police about her own crew. She had been kidnapped along with another girl, but Kaylin was the one chosen to be made an example of. It was a cold, calculated execution meant to send a message. But karma came fast. Just 5 days later, both of the men involved in her killing were gunned down by police during a raid. Mayara da Silva from Arapiraca, Alagoas, had a past as deadly as it was seductive. She was the lover of a feared drug boss named Fernando Coringa, who died in a police shootout back in 2016. After Fernando's death, the gang started falling apart, fighting over turf and control. But Mayara, she kept the business running behind the scenes, selling his leftover product without telling the others. Meanwhile, she was also trying to make it big on social media, posting dance videos, selfies, and trying to build her brand. But the streets don't play. When she expanded into rival territory without permission, that was the last straw. In 2020, at just 24 years old, she was riding her scooter through the city when a mysterious car pulled up beside her. Gunshots rang out. No warning, no escape. She died instantly. Mayara tried to outsmart the game, but in the end, the game got her. Mixi Padilla was married to Ivan Segura, and both were part of Los Telinas, an armed wing of the Gulf Cartel, one of Mexico's most notorious drug organizations. Despite being wanted, Mixi kept posting on social media like she was untouchable. In one TikTok, she's seen in the backseat of a car, wearing a vest with the cartel's initials, chilling with other members. What she didn't know was that it would be her last post ever. Just minutes later, the Mexican army intercepted the car. A shootout broke out and all 5 people inside, including Mixi, were killed on the spot. Her flexing got her caught. One wrong post, and it was lights out. Sabrina Duran Montero made waves on TikTok from inside a Chilean prison. Yup, you read that right. She was filming herself dancing and singing reggaeton while serving time for drug trafficking. They called her Narco Reina. the queen of the Santiago drug scene. She had a massive operation running the streets and nearly 500,000 followers online cheering her on. After doing part of her sentence, she was released. But freedom didn't last long. Just 1 month later, she was ambushed. She tried to flee in her car, but hours later, authorities found the vehicle torched and her body nearby, lifeless. Police say rival criminals took her out to make sure she didn't try to reclaim her territory. And just like that, the narco queen was no more. If you're out here flexing with gold-plated rifles, you probably think you're untouchable, but sooner or later, the streets collect. Just ask Maria Guadalupe Esquivel, better known as La Catrina. At just 21, Maria was already leading a squad of hitmen, organizing kidnappings and drug deals for a powerful cartel. She made headlines after planning a deadly ambush that left 13 Mexican officers dead. That move put her at the top of every wanted list in the country. La Catrina had a taste for luxury, gold rifles, fancy cars, the whole narco package. But in 2020, during a military operation, she got shot in the neck. Soldiers tried to save her, but the injury was fatal. She died in the arms of the same system she had fought against for years. From cartel queen to cautionary tale, just like that. Fernanda Chavez Pinho was known as the Narco Barbie in Manaus, Brazil. And no, it wasn't just a nickname. She used her dirty money to fund a complete makeover with multiple plastic surgeries to craft the perfect doll look. But don't let the pretty face fool you. Fernanda was smuggling drugs across state lines and even into other countries. Her biggest mistake? Switching sides. At 25, she left one gang to join another and took all their secrets with her. That didn't sit well with her former crew. During a turf war between the two factions, Fernanda was shot and killed, marking the bloody end of her narco career. In that world, betrayal means death, especially when you look that unforgettable. Amanda and Amalia, 18-year-old twins from Ceará, Brazil, thought they could play both sides of the fence. Big mistake. The sisters were working with one gang, but secretly feeding intel to a rival faction. Once they were exposed, they were done for. A hitman was sent to clean up the mess, and the girls were executed on camera in a cold, calculated move meant to serve as a warning. The footage went viral, chilling proof that in the world of cartels, there's no mercy for snitches, especially when they come in twos. When you hear Hello Kitty, you probably picture something cute and pink, but in Rio de Janeiro, it meant something else entirely. Rayane Cardoso da Silveira, aka the Hello Kitty of crime, was a drug lord in São Gonçalo. She got her nickname because she started her criminal life at just 15, and her baby face didn't match the violence she dished out. For a brief moment, she tried to walk away from it all. She joined a church, got baptized, and said goodbye to the streets, but the life pulled her back in, especially through her father, who was also a trafficker. In 2021, at 21 years old, Ryan was gunned down during a police raid in the favela she controlled. Her story is a tragic mix of innocence, crime, and the brutal reality of life in the slums. You can't talk about female drug lords without mentioning Marixa Lemus Perez, better known as La Patrona, the queenpin of Guatemala. She controlled a massive network that moved drugs from Chile all the way to the US millions of dollars, dozens of routes, and a reputation as one of the most dangerous women in Latin America. She was sentenced to 94 years in prison, but in 2016, she pulled off a wild escape by disguising herself as a prison guard. She stayed on the run for a few weeks before being caught again. Her sister, Mayra Lemus, wasn't so lucky. She was gunned down by rivals looking to weaken Marixa's empire. As for La Patrona, she's still behind bars, fighting to get her case reopened, but not going anywhere anytime soon. Even Pablo Escobar once said, "The only man I was ever afraid of was a woman named Griselda Blanco, known as the Black Widow." Griselda was the godmother of the Medellin cartel during the 70s and 80s. Ruthless and unpredictable, she was known to order hits over the smallest slights. If she didn't like how you looked at her, boom, gone. Her big move was using young women to smuggle drugs into the US, making her millions. She ruled both in Colombia Florida and in Miami until she was finally arrested and sentenced to 15 years. In 2012, now a free woman living in Medellin, she went out to buy meat and never came back. Two men on a motorbike gunned her down, execution style, at 69 years old. A brutal end for one of the most feared women in narco history.